Hello my friends and welcome back to Book-O-Ween. Today is day 3 and I have a very exciting book to talk about today. I am so excited to talk about today's book because ever since I finished reading it, I have been itching to talk about it with you guys, but I had to wait for this video, so now I finally get to express my opinions and my thoughts, so I hope you guys are ready. Today we are talking about Final Girls by Riley Sager. So you can barely see the cover. I'm so sorry. My ring light does not like shiny covers because of the glare, but this is the cover. I think it looks really cool. I like how all the eyes are slashes, like cuts. I just think that looks cool. It is our typical black and red, which I think is, you know, fairly standard in the horror genre, so I'm not too obsessed with this cover, but I think it looks cool and I do like the little eye slashes. I think it's interesting and I think it suits the book very well. Now we can finally get into the plot and then I can finally tell you guys how I've been feeling about this book. So let me tell you guys what this book is about. Quincy Carpenter has lived through something that most people don't. 10 years ago, her and 5 friends were involved in a horrible massacre that left Quincy as the sole survivor. The awful thing is Quincy's memory is pretty much non-existent. She doesn't remember much and she can't give the details to the people who are very anxious to know what happened on that night. Quincy isn't alone though. Sam and Lisa are 2 women that went through similar events and came out as the lone survivor as well. The media dubs them the Final Girls, and even though none of them have ever met, they are all forever tied together because of the events that they endured. However, Quincy has moved on with her life. She doesn't want to be a final girl. She doesn't want the label. She doesn't want the stigma. She doesn't want anything to do with being a final girl. She wants to live her life and to live normally. She runs a dedicated blog to baking. She has a wonderful boyfriend named Jeff, and she actually has a very strong friendship with the cop that saved her life that night. His name is Coop, and they actually meet up from time to time and just talk and check in on one another. That's all about to change when news that Lisa, one of the final girls, has committed suicide hits Quincy. This hits her quite hard. Even though her and Lisa weren't really friends, they had spoken from time to time, and Lisa was always kind to Quincy, wanting to talk about anything and just trying to be there for her. So this death does hit Quincy fairly hard. Then Sam, the other final girl, shows up at Quincy's house and wants to connect. Quincy seems into the idea because Lisa has just died and now they only really have each other, and since they did miss out on getting to know Lisa more, why not get to know each other and try to form a tighter friendship? However, Sam seems very intent on trying to uncover Quincy's repressed memories. Of course, it's only to help Quincy move on and live a normal life, right? Just when things can't seem to get any more strange, it turns out that Lisa's death was not a suicide. It was, in fact, murder. Okay, that's the synopsis. Okay, let's get into my thoughts because I'm so excited to talk to you guys about this because I have so many things I want to say. First, as soon as I read the plot of this book, I knew I had to buy it and I knew I had to read it for Book-O-Ween because it just sounded right up my alley. You guys know I love slashers. Slashers are my favorite subgenre in the horror category. I've grown up on slashers. It's just what I know. It's my favorite. It's what I'm drawn to. Fun fact, the final girl trope is actually my favorite trope in the horror genre as well. I really enjoy seeing a woman lead who is just kick-ass and just destroys the enemy, and she just survives all the bad stuff that's handed to her and she just overcomes everything. I love that. That's my favorite. I love the lone survivor. I just really like the final girl trope. All my favorite movies have a final girl trope. Halloween's my favorite horror movie of all time. Laurie Strode is my favorite final girl of all time. But in all actuality, every slasher movie that I really love has a final girl in it. And I think it's just because I grew up watching slashers, and most slashers have a final girl. It's just kind of the theme. It's the easiest way to go. I think it's very predictable, but people seem to like it. I, being one of them, really love that trope. I think it's fun, and it's just something I gravitate towards. So to have a book all about final girls just spoke to me. I knew immediately that I had to read it because it just seemed perfect. It seemed like it was made for me, that I had to read it because it was a book made for Erin. I thought it was extremely clever to have a book about final girls, but have it be about the aftermath of everything that happened. The final girl is very much the center of the movie usually. You always know which girl will probably be the final girl because they spend a lot of time showing her progress and her struggles and stuff like that. Sometimes it's not too obvious, but most of the time you can tell which girl will end up being the final girl. So she is the main character of that book, movie, whichever. But I thought it was very interesting to show the aftermath of said event. What happens to the final girl after everything has happened? What happens next? You don't really see too much about what happens to the final girl in the end. Sometimes the movies or the books will have like a little epilogue, a little ending portion where you see the girl after the event has occurred and she's in the hospital or whatever, but you don't really get to see her life. You just get to see a little glimpse of what might happen in the next few hours or few months. You don't get to see years down the road or what occurs long after that traumatic event. This shows you an option of what could happen after everything. What happens to the final girl? What really occurs after this event, this massacre, this whatever the girl endured. It just shows you the aftermath, and I thought that was really, really unique. It's something that I don't think a lot of people think to talk about because it's just not typical, but I really, really liked that. Quincy was a great character. I really loved her. She was definitely my favorite character. She was very relatable and easy to connect with. I felt myself being like, yes, Quincy, yeah, okay. I like Quincy. I could relate to Quincy. She just had that good main character qualities that I look for in connecting with the character. And she had everything I liked, and it was just easy to read from her perspective and feel like I was reading an actual person's life. It didn't seem too fake or anything like that, at least to me personally. But for me, it was just easy to take it all in, and it wasn't hard to read from her perspective. I felt like she was a pretty realistic example of what a final girl might end up like after all that trauma they endured. I'm sure she's not the only example that someone could come up with, but I liked the way she was developed and how she dealt with trauma, and I don't know, I just felt like it was a good example of what a final girl might become later in life. The plot was so good. It was interesting. It held my interest the entire time. I didn't feel my mind wandering or slipping or getting bored or anything like that. And this is a fairly long book. It's about 450 pages. So, I mean, it's longer than 300 or 200. So, for some people, it could be considered a longer book. So, it didn't make me lose interest or make me feel bored or anything like that. I felt like it held my attention the entire time. I didn't want to stop reading or anything like that. I also felt like it kept me on my toes the entire time. Oh my goodness. I thought I had everything figured out by the halfway point. I really thought I knew where this book was going. I had it all in my head. I was like, yep, I know. But then as soon as you hit a certain area, it just changes your opinion. You think you have it all figured out, and then you read a certain thing and you're like, oh, maybe I'm wrong. and then you keep reading and you're like, wait, am I wrong again? Because you keep changing your thoughts, and then it keeps changing, which makes you need to change your thoughts again. It kept me on my toes the entire time, and I love that because I don't like a predictable plot. Now, I felt at times this was a predictable plot because I thought I knew where it was going, but then it would do a switcheroo on me, and then it turned out not to be predictable in the slightest. So that I loved. The ending, I have one word to say, and that is whoa. Like I said, I thought I knew where the book was going. I again thought I knew where the ending was going as soon as I had started to figure something out. I thought I knew everything, and then the ending was just plot twist, and I kept getting swung around, and I was like, whoa, 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 and then it ended, and I was just kind of sat there looking at it like, huh? But in a good way, not in a confused or annoyed way, in a good, shocked way. And I was like, that was a good ending. That was a good plot twist that didn't seem predictable and I didn't see coming, and I enjoyed the ending so much. Oh my god, I love the ending. I loved the whole book, if you can't tell. If you can't tell, I loved the entire book, but the ending was so good. So good. The book is awesome. Like I said before, I loved every single thing about this book. I don't think I have one complaint, honestly. I loved every single second of reading this book, and I have 0 complaints. I'm serious. That is how much I love this book. I have 0 complaints, nothing. I loved the length. I loved the characters. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a complaint at all, which is incredible for me, because usually there's one thing that at least annoys me or something. But yeah, no, I loved every single thing about this book. Riley Sager really got me with this one. Honestly, it's my first book by him, and it won't be my last. I want to read every book by him now because I was thoroughly impressed by this one. It was so good. I know good is just such an arbitrary word for what I'm trying to express, but I just loved this book. So my final score is 5 ghosts out of 5. You knew it was coming because I couldn't give it less than 5. I could, if I could get it higher, I would, because it deserves like 10 ghosts out of 5, but I'm not cheating. 5 ghosts out of 5. Yeah, guys, I don't know how to explain how much I loved this book. If you love slashers, if you love the final girl trope, if you like plot twists, look no further. Look no further. I highly, highly recommend checking out this book if you like those things. I think it'll surprise you. Well, I hope. I mean, you could hate it. I don't know. For me, though, if you have similar reading tastes to me, and you like books that I like, and we seem to have the same sort of taste, then I would suggest checking this out because I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I highly recommend it to anyone who likes the final girl trope or slashers. It just was such a well done book, and I'm so excited that I had it in Book-O-Ween because it's such a good one, and I'm glad that I got to read it. And that's all I have to say, because that sums up my feelings. So I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Final Girls by Riley Sager. If you have read this book, please let me know in the comments down below so we can chit chat about it. Let me know if you liked it. If you hated it, you know, I want to know your thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed Book-O-Ween Day 3. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. It lets me know what kind of content you enjoy from me. That way I can keep providing you with that kind of content. Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, so you can stay up to date with the rest of Book-O-Ween, because it's only day 3. We have several more days to go. And with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow for Book-O-Ween Day 4. Bye!